when I was about 6 years old, the movie Rat Race came out. And I hadn't really been exposed to a whole lot of ensemble films, but Rat Race was one of my very first introductions to that whole film trope. And okay, back then I didn't really know a whole lot about film. I just saw a bunch of familiar faces like Ron Atkinson and Seth Green and Cuba Gooding Jr. And I had a really good time with it. But I haven't really taken much of a dry spell from the film, like really ever. Usually whenever I outgrow a certain film, it's because I've had such a long dry spell from it, and the film was already like no good to begin with, but my dry spell kind of made me forget all the components of it that I liked. And with Rat Race, that hasn't happened. See, Rat Race is... It didn't really receive really rave reviews when it came out, but it wasn't really panned. See, to me, a Rat Race is essentially the more watered down, the more normalized version of the 1963 ensemble piece. It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, which is undeniably the far superior film. But still, the personal memories that I have attached to Rat Race make it so that I do think that Rat Race is a legitimately good film, and not just a film that like is fun. So like I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because like whatever. No, I do think that this movie does have some legit good moments and a good arc to it also. So the movie stars Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, Whoopi Goldberg, Seth Green, John Lovitz, Dave Thomas, the SCTV guy, Wayne Knight, Gloria Allred, and it's crazy all the familiar faces that we get to see in this, and they all meet up at this casino in Las Vegas. They all have different reasons of being there, and we all get to know exactly who they are and why they happen to be there. So the character introductions, all that stuff is really, really good. And because we get to know exactly who these characters are before the race actually ends up happening, that was a good move. Because so we get to know, meet some characters a little bit later on, but by getting to know the majority of these characters first and foremost before the race ends up happening, that was a good move. So, the owner of this one casino is played by John Cleese, and he's a multi-billionaire. And what he does is he will gamble anything and everything. So, what he did was he inserted this weird coin into just a handful of slot machines in his casino. And this weird coin summons them to this room near the very, very top, this boardroom, and he says that he has placed $2 million in cash in a duffel bag in a storage locker in Silver City, New Mexico. So there's not quite 10 people that are partaking in this. And what they need to do is they need to be the one to go from Vegas over to Silver City, New Mexico. First one there gets all that cash just to themselves. Now, one thing that Seth Green ends up saying, because at first they all doubt that that the money is actually there. Seth Green says, "What kind of jackass just gives away $2 million?" Well, what does John Cleese do to kind of compensate for that $2 million that he's just given away? Well, there's there's all these other millionaires and billionaires that he's associates with, and they gamble the littlest and weirdest things on the way just to keep things interesting, because those guys have also bet on which player is going to get the money first. So some of the storylines are more interesting than others. Like there's Breckin Meyer's storyline. He plays this uptight lawyer who's been pressured into taking risks. I thought his storyline wasn't really all that funny, but it was still very, very interesting. Very, very fun to see. There's Cuba Gooding Jr.'s, which he plays this disgraced football coach, football referee, sorry. And his story is, it's kind of thin, but it's very, very funny. My favorite one would probably have to be either Rowan Atkinson's, Seth Green's, or John Lovitz's storylines. Because John Lovitz plays this family man, and he has to take his wife and 2 kids along with him. And Seth Green, his brothers are played by Vince Villa, and they play ne'er-do-wellers and con artists. Rowan Atkinson is this Italian tourist. So yeah, one thing that I love is road trip films. This is a road trip comedy, and it's an ensemble cast full of people that I grew up with. So yeah, even though this movie doesn't really achieve a masterpiece status like its Mad World probably does, still I do think that Rat Race is a legitimately good film, and I'm proud to give it 3 stars out of 4.